Hello, my name is Diana Winterflood. I am a manager in HSSD. I've been employed by HSSD for the past 20 years. For the past 20 years, I did my training. I trained locally in HSSD, and then I have worked in the surgical unit for the past 20 years, and for the past 10 years been a ward manager, mainly in orthopaedics and clean surgery. And in the last year I've been seconded to outpatients and the radiology department. I'm currently writing a report on the need for a senior manager within these two departments. Well, initially I heard all about the revalidation process last year, but I was aware that there was a pilot going on, so I was sort of apprehensive as to what was going to be the outcome of the pilot. So I did my own research and looked at my own CPD and made sure I was keeping my portfolio up to date. But I was aware that until the pilot was completed, that I wouldn't have the ultimate guidance that I would need to complete the portfolio. So I kept a watchful eye out for the end of the pilot. And in the meantime, we have a very good revalidation nurse who's actually organised some teaching sessions, which I attended and I found very useful, and this very much guided me in the process. It's not as scary as you think. It's something we probably all should be doing and probably are all doing anyway. It's just a way of formalising what we do. What I've been doing, having gone through the process, is been using my portfolio to use as a tool for other staff members and a resource for them. And it's not as scary as people think. It is rewarding because I remember my apprehension and thinking it was going to be such a huge thing to undertake, and I enjoy that role as a role model, just to guide people and to help them along that process. No, there wasn't any unpleasant surprises. I suppose the only part I felt was challenging was the fact that a lot of the forms kept changing along the way. I did my reflections in the autumn, and I did them initially on my own, just typed them up myself, then realised I had to do them on set forms. And these forms actually changed 2 or 3 times in the process before I actually went online. So it was quite sort of irritating just actually having to change my forms and just move things onto different forms. I think that's been a really fantastic part of revalidation. Obviously, when the new code came in, we all read it and attended lectures on it. But to actually write your reflections and then really think about what you'd done and what you'd learnt from it and applying the 4 Ps, it really embedded our code, deeply within myself. Getting onto the website was quite easy. I'm not particularly good with IT, but I found it pretty easy to get on and to register. The resource page on our intranet site is fantastic. It's kept updated, and it's got all the information, all the links that we could possibly need, and is a really good resource for everybody within HSSD. I would say don't be worried, just keep calm, just actually find out exactly what the requirements are, seek out the support from somebody who's gone through the process. Use it as a learning experience. When you do reflect on what you do, you gain so much knowledge which is going to help in your practice, and it's something we should be doing on a day-to-day basis. And just don't be worried about it and just enjoy the process.
senior staff nurse working in the adult mental health service. I'm fairly recently moved to the recovering and wellbeing service. I came from the admissions ward. My current role is to be part of a programme supporting people who have recently been quite unwell, and we deliver a programme of various activities for a period of around 8 weeks to help them regain their mental health and move forward on their journey of recovery and get back to their normal everyday lives. I think in the several years that I've been a mental health nurse, I've always considered myself to be a reflective practitioner. Other aspects of the revalidation, for instance, the continuing professional development, I could actually see and agree with that. But I felt that having to reflect on those areas of my work that link with the code, for me anyway, was not necessary. I think that's it in a nutshell. I've completely changed. I'm really enthusiastic, I think, about the whole process of revalidation, and really enthusiastic about being given the opportunity to reflect on the standards in the code. I think that often as a reflective practitioner, I used to reflect maybe on my practice and on our team's practice, but I didn't very often then take that back to the code of practice, which is, let's face it, at the heart of what every qualified nurse should be doing. Is it all right if I give you an example?
Yeah.
Part of my role when I was working on the admissions ward, and part of my role in my present position here, is to promote a recovery model, which is a model of care which, among many other things, helps clients to identify their own personal strengths and resources and build on those, so that clients aren't purely looking at negatives in their lives, but they're identifying what they're good at and, as I said, building on those to help source their recovery, really. It feeds their recovery. Linked to that, I now see, but I hadn't seen it previously, was that as a Band 6 nurse, a part of the many facets of the role of a nurse in that position is to support individual members of the team, be their line manager. And within that complex role, it's also important, and I found it really, really useful, to be supporting members of my team to think about their particular interests, their resources, their training needs, but very much look at the strengths that they bring to the job. Before I had started the revalidation process, I had not made the link between having a team of staff who are supported and managed in a way that all of them are thinking about and aware of their personal strengths and resources, and how powerfully that team can actually then work with clients in the same way of getting them to look at, as I say again, strengths and resources. I hadn't before seen that as one continuum, that a staff team that has that approach actually will work so much better with our client group in supporting people's recovery. And as a band 6 and me individually as a nurse, seeing that continuum actually just renews my enthusiasm for being a line manager and supporting staff. Yes, certainly in clinical supervision with members of staff. Not only do I get the members of staff when they're looking at their own personal development to think about those strengths and resources, but I also support them to think about how they can take their personal understanding of that and bring that to the clients. And you can see just in little ways, in subtle little ways, you can see individuals working with clients, engaging with clients in a very natural, holistic, non-judgmental way to promote recovery. It's much more just part of what they do, part of what the team does. So I think it's subtle, but there has been a positive effect. As I say, I had always considered myself to be a reflective practitioner, but certainly with the systems that are in place within our team and within Guernsey Mental Health Services, on a regular basis, qualified nurses are getting together and we are thinking about our practice and we're bringing that back to the code and the 4 Ps. Which is actually very powerful, very strong, and it makes sure that we keep focused on not only good practice but best practice, that we're always striving to deliver care that not just meets standards but actually exceeds the requirement, that we're doing better than just good enough. I think that if you're at all hesitant about it, I think in a way that's almost a natural response to what we are required to do, but that to embrace it, because I feel absolutely convinced that that if as a nurse you really engage with this process, that you will find it beneficial, and it's not a question of jumping through hoops, but actually you will have a better understanding of what it is to be a qualified nurse at the end of the process than you do at the beginning. So go for it. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that the structures that have been put in place to enable qualified nurses in Guernsey to go through this process, and those structures have been about, I think, being very supportive and minimising any negative impact that might have. I think that's been well worthwhile. It's certainly helped me, and I can see in just the little meetings that I've been to, I can see that by reflecting, coming back to the code again and again, actually makes us nurses more competent, I think, and more confident about doing our job. And if you can say that, it's a good thing. Our intranet, excellent, and I have to say, I think the NMC prior to actually going ahead with the programme, I think that there were some issues about accessing advice, but they didn't have it sort of set in stone at that point. But I think since they actually confirmed they were going ahead, that there's excellent resources. And do you know what? For somebody of my age who's not, the most IT literate, but all of that is just one click away at work.